I forgot to do my wizard presentation, so I'm just making one up on the spot.
Oh, what is your topic gonna be?
Wizards versus mortals. Who is stretchier?
Wizards of Waverly Place is one of the rare shows that just have very minimal bad episodes. Sure, there was a bunch of weird gimmicks that Disney Channel tried to promote, and maybe they positioned them in a really awkward way sometime, but for the most part, rewatching Wizards of Waverly Place has been pretty smooth sailing. Some of the things that take me out of it the most would be the cheesiness of it all, like the costumes, the spells, the special effects of the 2010s.
Those J's are like fish hooks.
Were just not up to the storytelling standards that the show actually did. Today, I'm gonna go through 1 or 2 episodes of every season that I feel like is the most far off from its original plan. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, focusing on 2000s movies, TV, music, and so much more. And today we're diving into the most offensive episodes of Wizards of Waverly Place. So let's dive right in. So one of the worst episodes in season 1, I definitely have to say, is season 1, episode 18, Credit Check. So this is the episode where Alex actually starts working at this fashion place. It starts out really funny, like it's them trying to come up with a catchphrase for a new sandwich at the sub shop. And Alex has the idea first, but then everybody else takes credit for it, which is kind of crazy. Jerry, in training, teaches them about a new spell that actually freezes things. Apparently, spells are named after famous wizards, which is interesting. I don't remember seeing this at all. Maybe I'm just so caught up in the later seasons. And here's the weird catch. The spell only lasts as long as you could hop on one foot. Something I really was not expecting to be possible. At the sub shop, Alex is serving this fashion designer at his seat. And she's very sassy, very like outwardly herself, and he kind of likes this about her. Although it does remind me a lot of That's So Raven, when Raven became like in the fashion industry. I don't know why we can't just do something different. Like Disney, you know you want her to sing, just have something singing related. Alex has the confidence to literally critique everything this guy's working on and be like, nope, that's not good, that's not good. And it just, he is impressed by this, which I would be angry at this. This is good timing because she doesn't feel appreciated at the sub shop, so of course she's gonna jump out of the family business. I feel like that's the most interesting aspect. When she gets to the fashion place, it becomes a lot more snobbier and conceited than she imagines, which is perfect because this is New York, of course. Like, they give her a kiss and she's supposed to give a kiss back. Automatically, Alex is not fitting into this new environment or enjoying herself. I feel bad for her, though. In the B plot, they end up hiring a new person to work at the sub shop. Of course, it has to be a young, attractive lady for Justin and Max to fight over. Justin makes a goal to ask Millie out. Already kind of a red flag if you're working in the same place. Alex has a really good pitch for this fashion company. It's called Bringing Summer into Fall, which is a really cool concept. The fashionista who actually owns the company is here to accept the pitch. And guess who it is? It's Miss Hafer from Drake and Josh. The perfect person to be a snotty New Yorker. I don't know why, she's just such a good actress. I feel like she was so funny in Drake and Josh. So to see her like be this fashionista is really entertaining. The twist in the episode comes in when Miss Hafer really likes this idea and gives all the credit to Jeffrey, the person that Alex is working for. And to be fair, like in the artist landscape, this is kind of how things work in like kind of a not fun way. I feel like if apprentices or interns have ideas, they tend to not get credit for it. And in this particular episode, it really bothers Alex. I mean, it bothers me. It's really not fair. Especially this guy's just such a jerk. He is not remorseful. He's just like, this is the way things go. And not cool. Meanwhile, we get another funny moment when Max tries to hype up Justin, like his hype man, and he just accidentally says the most embarrassing things ever. I love this part. Look at this.
Did you know that Justin wears his underwear in the shower?
So Alex is still mad at this fashion company, so she actually enlists Harper to make a bunch of dresses, and she's pitching to this guy that she's gonna have a whole fashion show, and then he's gonna invite the boss back, and that's gonna be a really fun experience. And Alex is like, wow, this is the perfect time to embarrass him. She enlists Harper to create a bunch of really ugly outfits just to get back at him. And there's a really funny joke where she's like trying to enter his office, and he's like, who's there? But like, it's see-through, bro. Like, how do you not see Alex? So yeah, she's putting this whole fashion show together, and right at the final hour, this guy decides to let her have the credit. Yeah, Miss Schaefer comes in, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, all of this is Alex's idea, which is actually a nice gesture. He doesn't know how ugly the clothes are. Alex is able to use that spell that freezes time to make all the outfits, which is really funny. She has to hop on one foot, turn all of Harper's ugly outfits into something passable and impressive pretty quickly. A funny concept, and since Harper doesn't know that Alex is a wizard, it's a lot funnier to see her try to get away with all this and still cover it up. Harper gets really angry when she sees all of her clothes are messed up, and I guess we just don't have to admit the fact that Alex took advantage of her best friend for this, whatever. Yeah, so everything ends up working out for Alex. The new boss loves her style, great ending. The funny ending, though, is when Justin thinks that he's going to be going on a date with the girl that works at the sub shop, which, by the way, if you're working at the sub shop as like a single girl in New York, it's already not a safe place. Can you imagine the whole family like trying to hit on you? Like, Justin is not super sensitive to her and like the power dynamic that their family holds in this restaurant, but whatever, we're not going to get into that too much. In the end of the episode, he thinks he's going out with her, but then she just asks him to babysit while her and her boyfriend go out, which feels appropriate. I feel like this girl looks a lot older than Justin. Like, he is not ready to date her. All around, like, definitely a funny episode with their moments, but I feel like I laughed the least in these episodes than I did all the other ones. On top of the fact that it's like a fashionista type episode when so many of these shows were doing this at the time. I'm now thinking of True Jackson VP. Like, it's just overdone. And sure, we got the wizarding twist on it. I really like the idea of freezing time and only able to hop on one foot, but it doesn't come until like the very end of the episode. It's just so much of this is the wizard characters doing something that doesn't really relate to the world of wizards, nor does it like kind of help set them up for their future in any way. So I'm not really having fun with this episode. I had to put it here. Sorry, guys. Another episode that really pets my peeve in this season is the season finale art museum piece, which is kind of depressing. Like, if you know me, season finale is always a good opportunity to leave on a high note, especially if you know you're going to take a little bit of a break before whatever season comes next. Sure, it's a kid's show. It doesn't need to have that kind of exciting ending because you know they're coming back, but I don't know, all around this episode is just so boring. It's kind of like Night of the Museum parody. It's about Alex not completing her history assignment because she's lazy. She keeps wanting to use magic for shortcuts, already a pretty negative character trait, and she ends up going to the museum after hours and getting stuck there. Now she brings all the paintings to life and gets her history lesson from them directly, which also is just a history lesson, Alex. I don't know if you shortcut a lot of stuff, really. It's funny because the security guard that works at the museum is this woman that keeps recurring over and over again in the first season, which I miss this. I miss this concept. Like, I wish she would keep coming back in every episode, or even in the new series. Like, that would be awesome. But they forgot about her pretty quick. It becomes pretty much a Night of the Museum parody in a boring way, because in season 3 they end up having an episode that's a lot more like this, where they get trapped in the exhibit, which kind of feels like a repeat. So looking back on this episode isn't a lot of fun, let alone the fact that there's not a lot of jokes. It's just like one big long history assignment and not super fun. Like, sure, Justin comes in, saves the day, great, but like, why would you end the season about wizards in a boring historical way? Like, even the new series just ended with Alex Russo dying, question mark? I didn't see it yet either, so it doesn't count as a spoiler because I don't even know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it feels like they could have done a little bit more here. Whatever. The second season of Wizards of Waverly Place is surprisingly, I would say, the weakest one. Sure, we have Harper figuring out that the whole family's wizards. That's a pretty monumental moment. We have a nice return to WizTech, which is definitely better than the first one, and even a 4-part episode finale, which, by the way, I would argue is what makes it so bad. Like, when they did events that, like, just had like sub names like Wizards versus Vampires and then 4 parts, like, that stuff's not fun for me. I feel like they're not like committing to the idea of being a serial episode, which they do end up doing in the 3rd season, but here it just feels like they're not trying to make it consistent. One of the most boring episodes, I would say, in this one is Hugh's Not Normus. Remember Hugh Normus from the Wizard School episode? Yeah, he's this guy that is convinced he's a giant, but is really just a normal-sized human and looks down on everybody because of this. It's actually a really funny concept. So he runs away from home in this episode, and Alex is already insecure about being a bad person, I guess, so she decides that he's allowed to stay with them without consulting anybody. It's so weird that none of the shows acknowledge that this guy is in all the teen shows. Like, Austin Butler was a background character and had a lot of lines, and so did this guy. He was on Glee, this show, Drake and Josh, and he plays essentially the same mumbling character. But here on Wizards, it is his best work. I feel like we get a lot of time with him, and he's kind of a funny character. It just feels like the intentions in this episode aren't so interesting. So Alex stores this guy in her room, which is very inappropriate for a teenage girl, and she's not even like super helpful toward him. Like, she just expects his problems to be solved the way she talks to him.
Oh my gosh, this helping others thing is taking way too long.
And she accidentally makes both of them ginormous, because he's insecure about being actually small. I do like that concept. This whole episode is like him coming to terms that maybe he's not a giant, and that's really cute. The Giants actually show up at the Russo's place. Jerry knows nothing about what's going on, and Alex doesn't even like admit it when they come here. They like keep him in the room, and it's not fair. I am interested in the concept of like adoption in the wizard world. Like, Hugh had a different parent, and then Giants were able to take him under their wing. Like, that's kind of an interesting tool, but they don't really go into it ever again, which kind of reminds me that this show could be better. A lot of the comedy in this episode comes from like Alex's room being shrunk and they are huge. That's funny because it has to do with the character, but it really doesn't prompt any more plot at all. Alex ends up getting Hugh's real parents to come in and speak to him in the wizard lair, and it's a really nice moment, and it actually makes the episode worth watching. I feel like the offensive or not great episodes of this show are never that bad. Like, this one just felt like it was dragging on a little too long, and I feel like Alex was selfish, and when something did work out for her, she didn't really take a lot of credit for it or acknowledge that she did hard work to do it. So she still has a long way to go as a character. At least she gets like a nice feeling at the end. Then also episode 23 in this season was a little bit boring for me. It's called Paint by Committee, and this is a fun idea for an episode, but not like a great execution. The episode starts with Justin, Harper, and Alex going down to the subway train to acknowledge all the graffiti and art. And it's funny because it's like Justin's way of telling her she was nominated to do the mural at school. And it's cool because it's like Alex is actually pretty good at art. Like, they've mentioned it before, but from this episode on, they do kind of keep it as a character moment for her. But that's kind of not here nor there. The one thing that Alex cares about, like, she actually gets into this. It becomes not really much of a chore for her, and she even likes drawing. Well, that's a great acknowledgement. When they get to school, she's kind of disheartened to see that everybody's opinion gets jumping into her idea, which is the true pain of an artist.
And the Statue of Liberty shredding an electric guitar. Just,
And panda bears.
This is like kind of annoying though, because I feel like we're getting to an artist plot line, like as if this is going to be kept for a lot longer. And if they ever did another episode about art and Alex liking art, like that's cool. I feel like they just kind of push it into this episode. And then she becomes a little bit snarkier, not wanting to incorporate anybody else's ideas, and it's kind of Alex versus everybody else. It's cute when she gets like a talking to from one of the graffiti artists. He's a really funny character, and she kind of gets a little bit more insight that like maybe people just want to see what they want to see, and art is like objective. So she uses a spell on the mural that allows everybody to see what they want to see. That way she doesn't have to actually worry about it, which is kind of a crazy cop-out, because clearly like if you make art, like you have a passion for it and you want to do it. So it's like interesting to think that like she has it happen here. In the end, she realizes that she does have a little bit of artistic integrity, and it's okay to have a painting that other people don't approve of. Even if they like it so much, like why sell out just to get everybody to be happy? Which is an interesting intersection between art and commerce that we talk about a lot in America specifically. Mr. Laritate represents like the government pretty much, and he's still funny as ever. And it's nice to see that Alex picks up on a hobby, but it feels like an episode that doesn't necessarily have to do with wizards. Like, even the part where they magically possess the mural, it doesn't seem to go too far. Even the B plot feels like it has nothing to do with anything. It's just Max doing crazy stunts. I don't even want to get into it. The point is, when I watched this episode recently, I never realized how if it went away, nobody would notice. So I had to make a reference to that. If I had to give like a little shout out to an episode, I feel like season 2, episode 3 graphic novel is really aggravating for me. So in that episode, Alex is worried about having her secret revealed to the whole school, that she likes Dean. And one of the popular girls, Gigi, ends up finding her journal and gets whisked away into it. And the only thing that really bothers me about the episode is it's like completely filtered in like this iMovie effect. And sure, like that's a cool idea. Like we used to do that a lot in the 2010s, back when filters weren't normal or like weren't like a common thing. But now that like we're used to filters over everything, this one like does not hold up well. Like looking at it is a pain. I get it. Like it's supposed to be a really cool episode with like one of the characters even almost drowning, but I swear it's such an eyesore. I cannot not recommend it enough. So please don't watch this episode if you have a watch through, because it will not be worth it. And of course, I could get into how Wizards versus Vampires, the 4-part special in the end of the episode, was necessary, but I really don't want to. I feel like when they did this early enough, like it wasn't a great concept. All around, like the second season had some pretty negative lows for me. So much more than the first season, so I just had to mention the extras. Season 3 of Wizards of Waverly Place is when it got really interesting. Not only did they introduce a lot of really cool recurring plot lines, but they committed to having the episodes have multi-layers that transition to the next episode, like a very serial style of storytelling, which you have to admire. It's a risky thing, especially in a Disney Channel show, but you know, every season has its downfall, and these are some of the episodes in season 3 that did that. For the first one, it's episode 19, Dad's Bugging Out, and this one, I saw on the internet a lot of other people didn't like it either. For me, it was definitely really creepy. But let's get into it. I gotta admit though, one of the funniest jokes in the entire series is the last line in this cold open where Justin actually wins with one of his disses.
Ooh, no, because I checked your calendar and you got no plans for the next 30 years.
Ha! I don't have a calendar.
Ha! People who don't have calendars also don't have plans. Owned! Oh, sold!
Yeah, that's funny. So Jerry's like working at the substation when the freezer door opens and all these magical creatures from past episodes just escape. I don't know what was holding them in before, but this is ridiculous. Where's the security system on this thing? You're wizards, you don't have any way. Surprise, surprise, it was Alex's fault, and Jerry kinda gets annoyed at her, telling her like she has to be more responsible with magic, which is fair, but Alex does not see a need for it at all. It's this late in the series and she's still not seeing how bad her actions are. Alex, we're on like episode 60 at this point. This really weird fly starts attacking the lair and Jerry tries to kill it, but it ends up biting him. At first they're like, okay, this is gonna be no big deal, not so cool. So Jerry starts itching and there's going to be a bigger problem, I'll tell you that much. We cut back to school and Alex notices that Justin and Zeke are head of the alien communication club where they like speak their own language. It's kind of ridiculous. And they decide that they're going to host this whole thing at the sub shop. So Justin is really adamant about all this going well, and as you can imagine, it's not going to. The kid Frankie comes back for like a random cameo in this. I don't know if you remember him. He was in the first season for a couple episodes, but he has like his own little shop in the substation, and he's the first to freak out when they start noticing Jerry's getting twitchy. Justin tells the whole family how important it is that they have a really good event, and the stakes get raised a lot, especially when Jerry literally comes back fully as a roach, and it is disgusting. I feel like this whole episode is gross. It's literally about keeping Jerry away from their whole event so Justin can actually get away with it. Of course, Alex is always the one to ruin all of his stuff, and it becomes one of those arguments once again. Kind of reminds me of Drake and Josh, the way these two bicker. So Justin is still insistent on getting this whole alien language club off the bat, but everybody is losing interest, with Zeke and Justin barely holding them on. Alex tries to be sensitive and help Justin make up for it, especially when this whole alien language club thing gets super boring. And she has the genius idea of actually using Jerry in it, which I think is kind of a good idea. I feel like it's under the context of like alien language. Of course, people are gonna react to him, and then everybody freaks out. I mean, if it were me, I would just assume this is a man in a giant suit, which I wish they thought that. They definitely think he's like a real alien, but at least Justin's day gets saved. The only thing about this episode that's just so frustrating is how gross Jerry is. Like, he's twitchy, he's like, it's just him suffering for like one mistake that Alex made, and there's a lot of suffering going around in this episode. At least everything like works out in the end, but not a lot of the jokes make up for the mundane storyline. You know, like, they're barely anywhere beside just the sub shop and school in this episode. I feel like it could have been more interesting compared to everything else that's happened in the third season. Like, there's just a lot of cool things. Another episode that kinda is not exciting to me is episode 20, Max's Secret Girlfriend. We have a guest star in this, Bella Thorne, but she's kind of like irrelevant in a weird way. So Alex and Harper find out that Max has been seeing this girl at school. Like, it's been like a secret girlfriend he didn't tell them about, which is surprising because there's no way. These hallways are so small, and I don't know why Max would have thought he could have got away with having this in the hallway and not be suspicious. Turns out Max doesn't even have his name Max, so it's just him like lying to this girl over and over again. And it kind of makes him seem like a less redeemable character than he ever was before. Like, it's one thing to have him be the joke or the idiot in the group, but he's borderline manipulating this girl into staying with him. When Justin and Alex get to the bottom of it and actually confront him, he tells them that it's because they don't want him to meet their parents. Like, that would be super embarrassing. So Alex and Justin are like, why don't we pose as your parents? So they use like an age up spell, and this part is so unnecessary. It doesn't even have a lot of good jokes, which I would excuse pretty easily.
Nice cut, Justin. Looks like I dodged a bullet with you.
So Alex and Justin pretend to be a married couple, and they just bicker like brother and sister, and it kind of works perfectly. Like, they look just like parents. Right when Max brings home his girlfriend to meet them, it gets even weirder because Jerry and Teresa come home right then from like a World War II reenactment thing. I love that that's like the concept. Like, why would those parents be involved in something like, you know, whatever. We're not gonna question it. That one's just a funny idea. So they confront everybody pretty quickly. They basically sit down as a family and are like, Max, you have to tell this girl the truth. You can't have a relationship based on lie, which is a great message. The funniest part of this episode is after the act break, they come back and Max is like, you're right, I did it. I told her I'm a wizard, so no more lies. And it's interesting because it shows that, like, Max has been groomed into lying his whole life. His entire family are experts on tricking the mortals just to blend in. So, like, why wouldn't he use all these things he grew up with understanding to get a girlfriend? I feel kind of bad for him. Just the reaction to this whole thing is why this episode's, like, kind of annoying to me and why I don't love it, because I wish they weren't such hypocrites and actually, like, saw this as their problem too, not just Max's and him just being silly. So the next goal becomes to invite this girl over and convince her that Max was lying and lying about everything, which shouldn't be that hard. I don't even know if there's a conflict. And this is interesting because this goal feels very shallow to me. Like, they're trying to help Max lie to her after telling him not to. Like, that's the part that really bothers me. And this girl is falling for everything, which is kind of sad because it's like her and Max are really a great combo. Like, she's weird, he's weird. They talk about a lot of weird stuff. Next thing you know, we're going through a series of a fake magic carpet ride. Like, all these things that essentially tried to prove that Max was a wizard. They're tricking her was like just this fake thing going on. Justin has the skills to make a giant machine to make it look like they were actually flying, and I can't believe he was even able to accomplish that. That's like nuts to me. All around, they managed to trick her once again, and I guess that's the message of the episode, is that if you commit to a lie, keep doing it for the rest of your life. Okay, real mature guys. So yeah, the third season is just so good, it's hard to find episodes that didn't work. Like, I still feel like I liked that dad bugging out episode. I still really enjoyed the Max's new girlfriend. Like, at this point, the show is so good that, like, even the boring episodes are not that boring. So it's hard to find stuff that I don't love. Then we get the final season, season 4 of Wizards of Waverly Place. And this is the one where it got the most jarring for me, not just because the theme song changed, but because Justin put his hair back up? Yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah, this one got a really serial, all talking about the Wizard family competition, which is actually kind of interesting. I love that the siblings are pit against each other most of the season, but this is one of the episodes I feel like is the weakest in this whole era. It's called 3 Maxes and a Little Lady, season 4, episode 5. A reminder that Alex is dating Mason for this episode. Justin has already finished his studies and is getting ready for the wizard competition, and Max is falling behind. And that's kind of where this episode falls in line. Jerry tries to get Max into a club just to free himself of the guilt of Max not learning enough. And it's basically the sophisticated wizard club that he thinks will rub off on Max. And Max is like, oh, I don't know if I need that, but he goes for it anyway. What a nice son. Alex is trying so hard to get ahead in the wizard competition because she knows there's like, it's just no way. Justin is so far ahead, almost by like a full year. And in this episode, he's taking on a bunch of WizTech students and being their tutor, essentially. So I don't know how in the world this guy would not end up winning. He's kind of rude to her and not really helpful. It becomes a lot more of a Alex and Justin bickering episode, which most of this season feels like. I feel like Max is so far out of the picture. It's like they're having a hard way of putting him into the plot again. At least they have this episode though. Alex goes to the Wizard Commission's office, which is the people that are like in charge of this whole competition, which is kind of interesting. They have a whole thing for that. And she tells us what's at stake. Like, basically she can't be with Mason if she loses this competition. And this woman is just like, yeah, I would give up now. No big deal. And I'm kind of worried about Alex too. Like, I want her to do a good job. She basically suggests that if Alex wants to stay in, she could join Justin's tutoring class. And this woman's like, he can't say no to it, which I don't understand whose side she's on at this point. So Alex gets enrolled in Justin's class. In the B plot, we actually have what's going on with Max, which is crazy that the whole episode is titled after him and he's just the side plot. He's with these sophisticated wizards and they pretty much mock him the whole time. And I feel bad for Max because it's like, it's one thing to like not be super smart, but like to have people like openly mock you in your own home, and his parents just want him to be a part of this group, so he's probably not feeling great right now. And the fact that they all underestimate him, know that he's not going to be a part of the competition, is even insulting enough. Alex joins Justin's class and she's actually really disrespectful. Like, he is literally teaching you now and she's just become like a nuisance in class, which is not that surprising. I just was kind of hoping they would be a little bit better about that. Max even uses the sophistication of his friends to make fun of Justin, which is kind of not cool. Like, he becomes even partially a bully, and I'm not liking Max in this light at all.
Justin, I'm sure you're far too busy being the president of the I'm losing the wizard competition club. Why don't you go have a meeting?
The guys in his group notice, and since they're sophisticated and smart, they are just like, why don't you just move up the wizard competition, Max? And that's kind of crazy. Like, this is such an insane twist for one of the boringest episodes. Justin and Alex are working together because actually Alex does care. And this is how they get moved into the A plot, because apparently the wizard competition's moved up and they are freaking out. So like in the middle of them studying, trying to get it figured out, like the competition's moved up. It is the only realistic way Max could probably compete. So it's hard to argue the logic. It just seems like it's coming from such a cynical place. Like, an episode like this must not be great for the main characters. They realize that the only way they're going to convince the commissioner to put the date back is if they have the original person who changed it go in there. So Alex and Justin turn into Max, not even realizing each other is doing it. They just like go in separately, and then it all becomes like this really awkward hodgepodge. It's just weird because it's like almost like Justin and Alex are sabotaging the Max plot and making it their own, because we've we still have Max at the wizard house with his sophisticated friends. He gets a nice talk from Jerry where Jerry actually admits like he doesn't have to be sophisticated, that he's pushing Max a little too hard, which I agree. Maybe that's why Max is so funny, because he's been pushed way too hard. And it's really funny to see Alex and Justin both be Max. It makes me realize that Jake T. Austin must be a super great actor, because he sounds, I'm convinced he is both Alex and Justin at the same time. They end up turning back to normal eventually and get the wizard date moved all the way back, even turn Max into a different person. Kind of random. So there's a lot of apologizing that needs to go on in this episode that doesn't even necessarily happen. It's just everybody kind of turning their backs on each other one by one, and 3 Maxes come out of it. I do think this is a really good Max episode, but they lean into it a little too much. Like, they turn this guy into just being a joke, and now he's like so far out of the competition it's not even funny. It also ends on a cliffhanger, which is super unnecessary for like this new serial format. Like, they can't turn Max back into himself, so he's just this little girl, and everybody is like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's cool that we have a couple steps toward the actual wizard competition, like stakes are being raised, Alex is trying, Justin is trying, but the fact that Max's subplot just became Alex and Justin's A-plot means that like this episode named after Max isn't really about Max at all, and Max is barely in it, except for when Justin and Alex are playing Max. The parents really didn't have a good look in this episode. Teresa was like super conceited, and I feel like Jerry was also pushing Max to do something he didn't want to do, but he did come out on top, like in a positive way. I feel like there was some good elements, but there were mostly negative elements. This season gets a little too repetitive, if you ask me, like in a way that like it flanderizes itself, like it knows what it's about, so it just keeps doing similar plots over and over again. And yeah, so not super fun. Also, season 4 episode 18 is kind of ridiculous. It's Wizards versus Asteroid, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It's exactly that premise from Danny Phantom Planet, when there's a giant asteroid heading toward Earth and they're going to die. Yeah, that's exactly what happens in this. It does start out kind of funny though, with the news reporter explaining that it's the end of the world and Max just trying to wave in the background. That's kind of a funny bit. But for the most part, it feels like a huge tonal shift where everybody's getting ready for the end of the world. And it's kind of depressing to think everybody's going to die. Justin doesn't seem to have too much empathy for them because the wizards can just escape to the wizard world. Like, clearly they don't have anything to worry about. But their friends, Zeke and Harper, are going to die. A lot of the episode's plot derives from the television news station, which is kind of awkward. It's something they really can't have an actual handle on. They're just reporting to the news. Kind of weird. The wizards are taking it as it is and are like, okay, we'll go to the wizard world. But Alex is the only one that's like, hey, we can't leave these people behind. Something that actually works in her favor for the first time in a long time. Alex is the good character. So the 3 wizards decide to get in a space shuttle and head toward the asteroid, where most of the rest of the episode is going to take place. It's kind of like a Star Trek-esque vibe, which is kind of weird considering it's Wizards of Waverly Place on Disney Channel. And yeah, their wizarding powers and CGI come to a awkward standstill as I'm watching this episode. Like, I can't fall for anything that's happening. Sure, it's cool that the wizards are dealing with something they never would be able to deal with on their own, but this could be used in any plot for any show, essentially. So it just feels like lazy writing to an extent. There's some really good funny jokes in this.
We did it, we're leaving. That thing sounds like Mom when we're late for school.
You know, it breaks up the tension a lot since the stakes are so high, but honestly, it adds a really weird tonal awkwardness to this whole thing. Like, it's the end of the world, but also still funny. The through line in this episode is that Alex wants to graduate, but isn't going to because something she's slacking on, obviously. So the asteroid ends up hitting Tribeca Prep, which is insane. Laritate is the only one alive, it seems, in this school. And to think it was such a random episode to have this happen, I don't get with all these specials, the Wizards versus. Like, they just set up really awkward expectations that they can't always live up to. And this one in particular is a good example of why it's just not working. Overall though, those were all 4 seasons of Wizards of Waverly Place. You could tell that the worst episodes were in the last season, some of the best episodes were in the 3rd, and then 1st and 2nd were a little with only really being bogged down by the awkward CGI and sometimes out-of-place plot moments. But for the most part, Wizards of Waverly Place has all their 98 episodes pretty good. I feel like there's only like 10 really bad episodes, and we've covered most of them here today. But I would love to know if you guys saw episodes you really didn't like, and I know most of them are from the 4th season, so I'm not gonna judge you, but put your comments in below. In the meantime, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe to Johnny2000. I have so much fun making these videos for you, and I can't wait for you to see what I have in store next week. So thank you guys so much, and have a great day.